documentary was released called The Education of Shelby Knox. It told about a teen who was using her efforts to defend the rights of all citizens to seek, receive, and impart ideas and information of all kinds. She had grown up in a place where she wasn't given certain information about her health, and where instead of schools teaching her how to make safe choices, they were only shaming her for making the wrong ones. Shelby had grown up in Lubbock, Texas, and she made this documentary because she was worried about teens across the state who weren't receiving proper sex education. Abstinence-only education is championed in Texas for being the most morally upstanding and effective way of protecting children from pregnancy and STDs. However, the problem is that abstinence-only education isn't very effective at all, and because it's risking the health of our children, it's not very morally upstanding either. As you probably guessed from my last speech and this one, I've been studying sexuality and social psychology, and I was scared to find out as a college junior how little I actually knew about sex. So today I'd like to go over the controversy of comprehensive sex education in Texas and how abstinence-only education has two main consequences. I believe that Lubbock, Texas should adopt comprehensive sex education in their schools, and that this will better the overall health of our community. Comprehensive sex education is not something that would compete against our moral standards. A lot of abstinence-only advocates are primarily focused on the religious beliefs that they have based on abstinence, when the Social Psychology Journal believes that abstinence should be an issue of behavioral and health implications. In comprehensive sex education, we're not teaching children to have sex. Abstinence is, of course, the safest route for children to take, and comprehensive sex education teaches them this. They emphasize that abstinence is the best way of protecting yourself against pregnancy and STDs, but they show that when you do have sex, you can do it safely. And the Journal of Adolescent Health says that it is a fact that most Americans begin having sexual intercourse during their adolescent years. This means that abstinence-only sex education can't be doing its job because teenagers aren't being abstinent. There are two main consequences of this. Firstly, Texas is ranked 5th in the nation for highest teen birth rates. 38 out of every 1,000 girls aged between 15 and 19 in the state of Texas will give birth to a child. As you can imagine, most teen pregnancies are unplanned. This means that these children are unprepared to raise a child physically, emotionally, and financially. They're unprepared to raise a child physically, emotionally, and financially. Most people believe that the reason Texas has such high teen birth rates is because of our sex education, or lack thereof. As Mark Esser writes, the thing that the states with the highest teen birth rates have in common is abstinence-only sex education. Abstinence-only sex education will teach our children that sex will lead to pregnancy, but comprehensive sex education will teach them when and how sex leads to pregnancy, which will help students make safe decisions and take precautions. By using comprehensive sex education in our schools, we could lower teen pregnancy rates across the nation. Now, of course, being a teen mother isn't always a bad thing, especially for the girls who have so much love for their children and the children of those girls who have so much love for their mothers. But it is a huge risk that a lot of these girls weren't ready to take. And our state is choosing to disregard these risks, and in turn is choosing to disregard our children. And unfortunately, our community is doing the very same thing. In 2005, when the documentary was released, Lubbock, Texas was ranked 1st across the state for cities with highest teen pregnancy rates. Similarly, and the second big consequence of abstinence-only education, is that STD rates in Lubbock are some of the highest in the state. The Lubbock Avalanche Journal states that STD rates are an increasing issue in our community, and that our numbers, comparatively to the numbers of some other states, we can compete, like Lubbock's only rates, just our city, could compete with the overall rates from some other entire states. This means that a lot of our children not only our children are contracting STDs, but also our adults all across the city. And I believe that comprehensive sex education could benefit everybody throughout their lifespan, because when they learn young, during the times that they're beginning to initiate sexual contact, which, as we stated before, is usually in adolescence, they can take this information when they do get married and grow up and use it then. Comprehensive sex education should lower those STD rates across the state, and if we employed it in our own community, help Lubbock be one of the more healthy communities overall. I believe that the priorities of abstinence-only education are confounded. We shouldn't be teaching our children that abstinence is the best option only because it's morally upstanding, but we should be teaching them this because we care about their health and safety. And if their health and safety is at risk, we should be willing to make a change. Now, comprehensive sex education doesn't necessarily need to combat our moral standards. We can be teaching children to be abstinent, urging them to be abstinent, but also teaching them safety that they can take with them throughout the rest of their lives, and as we know, throughout the sex that they may be having as teenagers. It's important to teach our children to be safe within our own community and within the nation, but we know that this is especially a big problem in Lubbock, Texas. And if we teach our children how to be safe, how to take precautions, use contraceptives and things like that, we can lower STD rates and pregnancies by substantial amounts. I urge you to, consider the implications that abstinence-only sex education has had for our society, and to believe that comprehensive sex education would be a much better option for our community.